All right, cool. So the first thing to know is, all right, your final grade is going to be available to you, or it kind of more or less is already on Friday the 16th. All right, so when you see your grade on Friday the 17th, that's actually an error. That will be the grade that goes on quarter 3. Okay, so maybe you look at your grade and you're happy with it. Everything's cool, then don't do anything. If you look at your grade and you notice that something is missing, or I made a mistake, please email me. All right, don't talk to me about it now. Don't talk to me about it after class. I just want to check my email after school today. I want to see 25 emails from all 4 classes, and I just want to look at the email, find your work, put in your grade, delete your email, move on to the next student. And it makes my life easier. I use my email as kind of like a to-do list. So please, please, please don't tell me about it verbally. Don't come talk to me. Just email me, and then I'll make sure that you get your points. One of the things that I know I made mistakes on were the Pride and Prejudice projects. Some students I just forgot to put in your grade, especially if you were working with other students from another class. And so it may have just been an oversight, so please don't take it personally. All right, and then the only other thing to know is the Frankenstein reading schedule is putting a quiz on Tuesday. So that's the first 70 pages will be quizzed on March 21st, which is a week from yesterday. It does include the letters. So I know that Walton's letters are kind of boring. If you've been reading, it's not the best part of the book. When we finish it, you will understand why Shelley wrote it in this way and why Walton's letters need to be a part of the story. But for now, just read it, suffer, and then it is part and know that it is part of the quiz. All right. Well, turn that up. Let's go. Okay. Questions? All right. Well, the name of the game today is this bad boy that Mr. Gutierrez gave you yesterday. So if you could pull this out, or if you need one of them. Yeah. When do you think that one? Wow, different. So, because I didn't get to see you yesterday, maybe you heard that I got to have first and third period, but then I was at a meeting yesterday. So even though I was on campus, I didn't get to teach this class. So it's really good to see all of you. If you didn't know, I know everybody kind of found out, and then I guess we're excited. I was in spring training in Arizona, having a really good time with my 2 brothers and my dad. So I missed you tremendously. I really did, but it was good. We do that trip like every other year. And for those of you that don't know, like all the West Coast baseball teams go to Arizona. Like all the teams are there, and they do these like basically exhibition like warm-up games. And then where does Cleveland go to Florida? No, they go to West. They go to by other teams like Chicago. We don't want it. We don't want them. Yeah, the Cubs are there too. Yeah. No, I'm okay. Is there ground beef in there? Yeah. Yes. Sure. And then the East Coast teams go to Florida, and so
it's not like I'm not like you by voice. Okay. That's not a prank.
It's all on tape, so you got that. Oh, yeah. Let's start from the very beginning. The very beginning is as follows. We watched the film, The Social Network, and can we all agree in this room that Mark Zuckerberg created something that changed the world, period. Can we all agree with that?
Yeah.
You agree with that? You agree with that? Mark Zuckerberg created something that changed the world, period. Now what we're doing is we're going to go back and we're going to think about the things that were motivating Zuckerberg in order to create what it is that he created. And so his relationship to some of the other characters and how that led him to want to create Facebook, his relationship to the setting and how that made him want to create Facebook, and we're gonna think about all of these different motivations that led him to want to create this thing. Now, one thing I wanna say before we go any further is that we watched a film, okay? I was told by a student first period that that film was 40% accurate. So I'm not here to make historical arguments about who Mark Zuckerberg is or whether or not what we saw was true. What we did was we looked at a piece of, it starts with an A, we looked at a piece of art, and now we're investigating a topic through a piece of art. Okay, so we're thinking about Mark Zuckerberg, the character, not Mark Zuckerberg, the man, the person who lives in Palo Alto. Well, guess what you've been doing all year? You've been reading art and investigating topics. That's what you did with Brave New World. You read a book, you read a piece of art, and you investigated a topic through iterative topics. That's what you did with Grapes of Wrath. That's what you did with Pride and Prejudice. This class is all about using art in order to better understand who people are, what we're about, why we do what we do. So we treat it as a piece of artwork, and then we basically try to better understand the world through the art that we read. So I have a question for you. If everything is about motivation, why is Zuckerberg creating, when we watch this film, what is leading him to want to create Facebook? I'm going to start with this. To start, before I show this clip to you, what is Elon Musk known for? Help me out. He's known for Tesla. Tesla's a what? That creates electric cars, okay? And he's also known for
being the most rich man in the world, I believe.
Okay.
Actually, Bezos might have passed him, even though I might look it up.
Good, excellent. What else is he known for? SpaceX, which is trying to take us to Mars, baby. So he's going to send us to Mars. He created the most commercially successful electric car ever. He's got some other stuff. Anybody know what else he's doing? Yeah.
Building tunnels.
Yeah. Twitter. He just bought Twitter. Okay. All right. Yeah.
It's really like tunnels, they're like, I think it's in New York now, but like, he wants to get rid of their urban, like, places, so like transportation's easier and stuff.
Yeah. So it's called Boring Company, and he basically wants to drill gigantic tunnels under the ground for transportation. He's got a lot of tentacles wrapped into a lot of different things. Jack, what would you like to say? Huh? Well, it was funny that you said that because you've already taken my class today. What is Elon Musk's motivation, question mark, period? What is Elon Musk's motivation when it comes to this? I don't know. You're going to tell me.
Town, get a job at one of his companies, and you could become the newest resident of Snailbrook. According to the Wall Street Journal, Elon Musk companies have purchased roughly 3,500 acres of land near Austin, Texas, over the past 3 years. The land is adjacent to Musk-owned company facilities currently under construction. Musk employees have described it as a Texas utopia where his workers can live for cheaper rent. Musk has a tunnel operation company called Boring, and employees there were able to apply for houses being rented out at $800 a month. There is a stipulation though. If you're fired or leave the company, you've got 30 days to vacate. The so-called Snailbrook Utopia apparently is an exclusive community for Musk employees. The site already includes modular homes, a pool, a sports rec center, according to people familiar with the town who spoke to the Post. While no papers have been filed with the county to apply for an official town status, employees on the inside say Snailbrook has real potential. Employees said there was a meeting held last year to discuss the town's credentials. They need 201 residents, then they would have to hold an election for mayor, which means of the many titles Musk has, Mayor Musk could be in the near future.
When you watch that, what is Elon Musk's motivation for that decision? Talk about it right now. I want to know.
I don't think that's. Literally, you're right next to it, and you still need it. You say, it's like, it's right there. And then. All right, then.
Five, here we go. 4, 3, 2, 1. No right or wrong answers, just kicking around ideas. Katie, why do you think he's doing this? What comes to mind?
I don't know, maybe he's like testing it, like with one town, he is like, he wants to take over like more than a town, or like control more.
Okay.
Towns are just testing, like, how that would work, I don't know.
Okay, that sounds like he's motivated by a P word thing.
Howard?
Yeah, is this a power thing? Do you think he does want to be mayor? Because mayor would lead to congressperson,
Yeah.
President Musk, I pledge allegiance to Elon Musk of the United States of. What do you think?
Well,
What do you think's motivating him?
I think that he wants his workers to mesh the idea of like home life and work life. And so he probably just doesn't want his workers to like leave. Also, he's probably motivated by, I think, it's probably a little bit of money, but I know he's obviously super rich. But with that is also just like power and status.
Okay, but you think he's interested in blurring the line between work and home
Yeah.
because you work where you live and you live
Yeah.
while you work. Did we talk about that with Zuckerberg? Yeah. Oh, no, we did. Well, that's right out of Zuckerberg's playbook, because when he built the Facebook offices, he wanted them to be fun. And he wanted to throw parties and have free food and they do your laundry, and he didn't want you to go home, baby. And so the idea that you could get people to kind of confuse where they work and where they live to where the two are fused, that's very good for someone who is in the interest of getting people to work more and work longer hours. Ms. Smallwood.
What Luke and I were talking about is what Celeste was saying, but also that, the better he makes like the working conditions for his employees, the more people are gonna wanna work for him, which increases the amount of like products they can produce, increases the supply, which increases the amount of money he makes, which increases the amount of hours.
You didn't get to, I'm sorry, I interrupted you. Increase the production, which then,
The amount of money he makes increases.
excellent. Okay, so he wants to legitimately create a great place for his employees to work so that he can just grow his business more and more and more.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, what do you want to add, Luke?
Like, we wanted to, like, we talked about like how he wants to make his employees like, just like super reliant on what he does for them, and they'll like him more, and yeah. It's great work.
Kyle, you're nodding your head. Why you nodding your head?
Oh, because you just take control of everything, but everyone's reliable on him for everything.
Yeah, because he owns the town, he handles the water supply, he controls the rent, like, it's his own little universe, right? So, I don't know. Jack, what would you like to say?
He wants to take out the variabilities for his workers, like he wants to have as much control as possible, which power. And we've seen this happen in the past with a video that I've never seen before.
These have all been kind of negative. Anybody want to argue on Elon's behalf?
It hasn't worked in the past.
Okay.
I know that from research.
Oh, fair. Yeah, Lisa, what do you want to say in defense of Mr. Musk?
I think that we're all very cynical about it because it's just kind of like where it's coming from. Like what would you think of a person who they bought out a company and then they walk into Twitter with the sink and like screaming? Like that's what he did with Twitter when he bought it out.
But he sure gutted that company and got it more efficient.
Yeah.
And streamlined it, right?
But he's just making more money. You're cutting out workers, so more money's coming into it, but he still gets to keep a lot of the revenue.
And this is a statement to defend Mr. Musk?
No.
No, you're absolutely right. So you kind of make it sound like he's hyper obsessed with efficiency, productivity, and making money, right? Okay, fair enough. Yes.
Okay, well, I don't really want to defend him, but maybe to defend him, it's like, he wants to be in his workers' personal life, just so that way we can like make sure that they're coming to work with like 100% ready attitude, they're like have what they need at home, and they're like able to rely on him a little bit. Like maybe look at him more as like a family figure type thing, because I see him as like this man of power and this man that's like ready to do stuff, super smart. So maybe he wants to like connect with them on a personal level.
Sure. Like a god?
Yeah.
No. What I meant to say was, look, if you get hurt, if you get sick, it's in Elon Musk's interest to take care of you. Hold on, to take care of you, to get you to the hospital. He doesn't want his workforce sick and injured. So to think that the city is comprehensive and run by him, you know that you're protected. Because it's like, if I get pneumonia, Elon Musk doesn't want me to die. I'm one of his engineers. He's gonna make sure that I'm taken care of. So it's kind of this idea where his interest and my interest are the same. We want the companies to be successful, so he's gonna look after me. In the free market capitalism, no one's looking after you. Like, at the end of the day, Turlock Unified doesn't really care whether or not I get sick. It's my job to go find my own medical treatment. That's my own responsibility. And if I continue to come to work, I will continue to get paid. But there's no daddy in the sky that's watching me, making sure that I'm safe. Sky daddy. Sky daddy, yeah.
The housing market, and we're at right now, bringing in another layer of desperate people that are wanting like a place to go where they can be safe and taken care of everything costs you them.
Yeah, yeah.
They're bringing in
Sure.
desperate.
And if you can't afford to live anywhere, that might look like a pretty sweet deal. You got kids and you live in a car and Elon Musk will take you and let you live in his neighborhood. If you had kids, you would do it. Trust me, I have kids. I'd go live in that house in a heartbeat if I was living in a car with my kids. Oh, sign me up. Sign me up. Yeah.
Oh,
Go ahead, sign me up. Snowbrook.
I kind of forgot, I
No.
have my hand up for a bit.
How did you do that?
I did, yeah.
All right.
Sorry.
Yes.
Honestly, kind of scary. Because if you think about it, all these people would pretty much do anything for Elon Musk. Because they're relying on him for everything. Like their income, their housing, pretty much their safety. They're living in this like little neighborhood with all the other people that work for Elon Musk. Like he could start imposing like regulations like, oh, now there's like, you have to go to bed at a certain time and like all it sounds like a cult.
Yeah.
Like utopia.
Very well articulated. Yeah, Zach,
The
go
only
ahead.
thing with that is HOAs, it's this, well, some people sign up for that. The fact that Elon Musk is doing this.
No, but it's different.
It's not really, you have HOAs.
The HOAs aren't there
You have gated
income
communities,
provider.
following. I mean, it's bigger, yeah, but it follows the same guidelines as HOA. So. But I think that his motivation might be negative, so in the end, you're just positive.
Yeah.
It's a trade-off, you don't have to ever protect, unless you fix it.
Don't forget what you're gonna say. I finally came back. Go ahead.
Yeah, she reminded me what I was gonna say. I was just gonna say that when you lose your job, you still have like other things. You might not have a job, but like you still have your possessions, right? In your material wealth. But what Elon Musk can do is he can literally take like everything from you. And in like one step, he can just take everything.
Yeah.
Just, but like, do we have any Tesla shareholders here? Just me, man.
Am I mutual
You?
one?
All right, I'm all about that. I think that that's actually really genius.
From Elon Musk's part.
Yeah.
Because he has full ownership.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, for him, it's super genius.
Yeah.
It's super genius. Yeah, Kyle. And then Jack, we can last comment, then we'll move on. Yeah.
Are you living in Snowtown?
Living in Snailtown?
Yeah.
What about
Like,
it?
is there like a mansion and then like these houses around it?
Must not be living there.
I don't know if we live in this town.
And probably.
That's a good point. But Joe Biden takes care of me and he lives on the other side of the country.
Not taking
So.
care of me.
All right, last comment to Jack, please. Second time today. Go ahead.
Oh, his motivation. So like his motivation might be the purest in the world, but I have a tough time believing that he has been able to get to this position with a positive motivation.
Okay.
I think he's fueled by a lot of anger and a lot of someone did it wrong at some point.
You're talking about Elon Musk.
Yes.
Okay.
So I don't think we should put our trust, or these people should put their trust in living in the town that is ruled by him, where he gets all the power, because of the fact that I don't think that a person of that caliber has good motivation.
Okay, well said. Manisol, what did you want to say?
Oh, it seems like the giver,
Seems like a good what?
like the giver. We like, okay, she'd say, oh, we should implement security cameras for safety, you know, and he'd say, oh, it might be a good idea to have in your house, to watch your kids or whatever, and it's not happening. It happens like that, you give her.
Yeah, absolutely right. All right. Let's talk about Zuckerberg. Erica Albright, Box A. So let's tell us about what motivates Zuckerberg with respect to Erica Albright.
Okay, so Mark Zuckerberg basically created, the first, what was it, Face Smash?
Face Smash.
Yeah. He did that after he broke up with Erica, basically in an active fight.
Yes.
And he pretty much did the thing to like hurt Erica and probably other like women.
Excellent. So what are we writing in box A? Revenge. What is motivating him? Anger, revenge, misogyny, spite. He creates Face Smash to harm Erica, to harm other women at Harvard. Why is he creating in that moment? Because he's hurt and he wants to lash out at Erica, and in that moment, other women. Okay? The character of Zuckerberg, not the historical figure, the character of Zuckerberg. So that's one motivation for the creation of Face Smash, which then led to Facebook. The Winklevi. Aaron, when he's working on Facebook and he's thinking about the Winklevi, what do you think is motivating him at that point?
Well, I think that he's there, the big Sean. Typing this up, he just thinks he's better because he's making their silly ideas.
And there's a word for that when you think someone's better than you and you kind of like, it bothers you. It starts with a J. Is that, it's not a jealousy, right? So for the Winklevi, he's motivated by jealousy. And really what it comes down to when it comes to that jealousy is those guys can, there's something very specific they can do.
Beat me up.
Row crew, exactly. And when Erica says, I like guys that row crew, and he's like, I can't row crew, look at me, there's no way. So it's eating away at him. He's never going to be athletic like those boys. But what he can do is he can make a better website than the Harvard Connected. And that's what he sets out to do. So far he's been motivated by hate, misogyny, now jealousy. See, the Phoenix Club is something that he is really interested in gaining ownership into. And Eduardo, his best friend, is making progress in it. And he's just not invited. However, he turns to Facebook and he starts creating more and building out Facebook. What's motivating him at that point?
That the Phoenix Club displays Mark's values that like it happens.
He wants to create something that is safe, and he wants to be important and a part of it, and the leader of it, no less. He tells Eduardo outside that party when they're out in the snow, he says it would be like a finals club, but we would be the president. And so when he's creating and he's thinking about the Phoenix Club, he's trying to build something exclusive that he would be included in because he's not included in the Phoenix. Hey, what do you think about his motivation so far? Positive or negative?
Negative.
Yeah, we have misogyny, spite, anger, jealousy, exclusivity. Enter Sean Parker. When he's working on the Facebook, expanding Facebook, building Facebook out in relation, in his relationship with Sean Parker, what's motivating him then, Joe? What do you think?
It's just like, first it's like previously, like he made cool companies and like, so they're like really big, but then they didn't make any money. So like, he thought that was cool because he just didn't really care about it.
Yeah.
And then he just lets him in the company and listens to him. Yeah.
And he lets him in the company and listens to him, Joe, just Joe, because he wants him. Mark wants to Sean. Idolizes, right? And so when he's creating Facebook with relation to Sean Parker, it's really because of his blank for Sean. It starts with an A, D. Absolutely, 100%. He idolizes Sean. He admires Sean. He wants to be like Sean. And so he let Sean into the company. And he let Sean push his best friend out of the company because of that idolization. Now, the $1 million question is, why does Sean, excuse me, let me back up. Why does Mark idolize Sean? And the answer to that is,
Oh, because like what he did with those other companies, he could do it again.
And those companies are what? It starts with an R and it's 6 syllables.
Can I say it?
No, because Victoria's gonna say it. Those companies that Sean Parker created are blank. R, E,
New England. Soccer-
no, V.
New England soccer team.
I don't think she knows a New England soccer team name is. Maybe you do. R, E, V, O, no?
No.
Okay, the small one.
Revolution.
Revolution, write it down. Write it down for Sean Parker. Sean Parker is not rich. Sean Parker is more or less a creep. Sean Parker may or may not be a drug addict, but Sean Parker is revolutionary. He basically destroyed the music industry. He changed the music industry forever. And that's all Mark can see, is a revolutionary figure. That's why Mark won't monetize the site. He doesn't want money. He doesn't want to own a business. Sean Parker tells him, if you want to sell the company for $1 million, you might as well own Crumble Cookie. You might as well own a yogurt shop. Like, fine, you be a millionaire. No one cares. No one cares if you're the next millionaire. You know what you want to be? You know what you want to be, Mark Zuckerberg? $1 billion. And that shut everybody up. And what does that really mean? It means be revolutionary, Mark Zuckerberg. Change the world. Change the way that people interact. Change what people are and how they relate to one another. That matters. They get to California. Sophia, when he's in California, what's going on? What's motivating him?
There he kind of feels accepted and comfortable and feeling that he feels like he wants to continue being a part of that world. So he keeps expanding Facebook and growing Facebook there and getting deeper and deeper and trying to impact.
And what is it about that was fantastic, by the way. What is it about California and Palo Alto that's so different than Harvard and everything that happened back on the East Coast, now that he's on the West Coast, best coast? What is it? What's the vibe? The West Coast is such a what place? A place where you break what? Tradition. And the word for breaking tradition is to innovate, right? So actually, when we get to California, what's causing Mark to create, at this point, he's really in a space of innovation, where they break the rules, where he fits in. He's always been this hoodie type guy, and now he can finally kind of, like, but now he can finally be around people where the vibe is, the people in California, the people in Palo Alto are here to innovate, we're here to change things. This is not Harvard, this is not the East Coast, okay? Not in Boston, we're in California, where we break the rules. We wear sandals to work. We wear hoodies to work. There's no dress code here. Sound good for you? You get Harvard. I should have put him in order.
Okay.
But when Zuckerberg's at Harvard, what's motivating him?
I put that he can fit into the academics of Harvard, but he lacks the social skills to find another way to fit in. So, I guess what motivates him is, like, again, just the being included in, like, something that's exclusive.
Let's get a really fancy word going. In Harvard, he feels, he feels a sense of, what? Good, right? Absolutely. For Harvard, alienation. He's driven by a sense of not fitting in, right? And we talked about how he doesn't really fit in that space. He's always wearing sandals and it's snowing. And he's just, there's this separation between the individual and the setting. If you look at that prompt about exile, I'm changing the rules, Jack. You gotta realize, man, this is a fluid classroom, man. Things change.
Oh, I could say something, but I don't think, we have to go faster.
No, we're doing great.
A lot for the mind.
If you guys ever looked at, studied, thought about the question pre-prompt about exile, about a character getting kicked out, it's that type of relationship where it's like you don't fit into your setting. People that don't fit into their setting are powerful people in a way because they've got to drive. I don't freaking belong. Man, when I went to Denier High, I did not feel like I belonged there. There were 100 kids in the senior class, very like agricultural, very like, it's not real, and I love the ag kids, don't get me wrong, but that's not me. I don't know anything about it. I don't live on a farm, and I've never driven a tractor. I love you, ag.
There's a lot of people up there.
I know, I love them, but they know that I'm not, they know I'm not one of them. Don't you think I know that? I've never driven a tractor. I've never driven a tractor. But I always felt this kind of drive, you know, because it was like, I don't quite fit in, so I wasn't settled, so I didn't feel, you know.
You want your horizon?
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, that's all that makes sense. You know what I'm saying? Flip it over to the back. Draw a vertical line. If you haven't already answered on the back, draw a vertical line in the center, and I want you to put Winklevoss on the left, and I want you to put Zuckerberg on the right. They're not just characters. They represent forces. They represent big ideas. And the reason why the film, if you like the film, is so good is that Mark Zuckerberg is not just a character, and the Winklevoss twins are not just characters. They represent larger ideas. And the ideas are battling throughout the film. What ideas do they represent? Put some things on the left, put some things on the right, set up some oppositional force sets. Set up some oppositional force sets right now. Go, tell somebody. Tell somebody how you feel. I love you, FFA.
Well done. What do you want?
Yeah.
I'll be found. Can I do the final interpretation?
Yeah, you can do the final.
Like oppositional force.
Yeah.
I think that in this movie, should be
Yeah,
or half, or half.
I got two.
So that represents.
Like, yes, I'm using.
Oh, the other one. I'm not.
I definitely got it. It's.
30 seconds. Oh, no.
Sure. And exactly what I was getting to do.
The film, The Social Network, is not just about characters, it's actually about the battle between blank and blank. Samuel, it's actually about the battle between. It's about characters that want to keep the world the same versus a character that wants to change it. And that's why it's so compelling, because it's not a story about the creation of Facebook. It's a story about characters that have the world the way they want it and the power to keep it going versus a character that wants to change it and doesn't have as much power, but he'll create it. He created it in his dorm room while the Phoenix party was raging. He was in there, he was making stuff, he was creating power. So David versus Goliath, in a way, you really stretch it. Hakeem is also the story of
I said the old money versus new money.
Hey, yeah. And what?
And
And
he
the
was
poor.
poor in this, well, he was poor, not poor, but like, he didn't use the money, his personal money for the company, he used, friends.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
Yeah, I think you I think you did the hard way. Yes, I mean, I bet you got it in your.
he was called a prodigy, with
is Friday. So write that down if you don't have it. Old money versus new money. Excellent. That's the story of the Great Gatsby. That's the established people that live in the area that have just been rich because their parents were rich and their grandparents were rich. And then you got Jay Gatsby rolling in without 2 nickels to his name, and then he just builds himself a life and he builds himself a mansion. And that's the reason why people love that book, because it's a book about the vow between old money and new money. And who deserves the money? Is it the young upstart, the people with the ideas and the genius? Or is it the people that are born rich and they continue to stay rich because they keep passing it down? Gotham with another oppositional force set. Excellent. So the charismatic versus the antisocial. Another good one. What? Yeah, a lot of people are right. People are right. And then the last one, you might have others. One thing I want everyone to know about is status, kind of already alluded to this, but the status quo, quo is spelled Q-U-O. And the Winklevi are the status quo. And Mark Zuckerberg is, we already said innovation, didn't we? But really, what was innovation in opposition to? Tradition. Okay, cool. Well, just reuse it. Sorry. And the status quo versus innovation. And if you're not familiar with the status quo is the idea that things are the way they are, and they were that way a year ago, and they will be that way next year, unless anybody changes it. So the status quo in America is that we drive on the left side of the road. Right. And we drove on the right side of the road when? Way back when. Whenever we were yesterday, last week, last month, we've been driving on the right side of the road since there's been roads and since there's been cars. And if you were going to bet me $20, you would bet me that tomorrow we're driving on the what? Side of the road. That is the status quo. And when the light is green, you what? And when the light is red, you. Then when the light is yellow, you know, you run through the light. And that is status quo, right? But every once in a while, people come along and they disrupt the status quo. They change the status quo. And Joe Biden could get on the news tonight, but hey, can we start driving on the left side of the road tomorrow? And I'd be like, and I would get in my car and I would drive down the left side of the road. And you better get out of my way or I'll crash my car into you because Joe Biden told me to drive on the other side of the road. That would be an example of disrupting the status quo. Why can't traffic lights be purple? Why can't they be blue, magenta, teal, periwinkle? That's why they're vertical. Yeah, that's why they can't be horizontal. True. All right. So you notice that, you know, the characters are not just characters, they're larger ideas. And it's really telling a story of all these different things that are battling back and forth. All right. The second question is tricky because you haven't read Frankenstein yet, but we can still talk about this, and it's actually a pretty good introduction to Frankenstein. And the question says that, do you believe that there is like a natural social order in our culture? And I want to walk something. I started that sentence and now I can't finish it. I want to walk through something with you. Okay, there we go. I want to walk. What do you think I am, an animal? No. Just because you're on the racer. Yeah, I can pretend. Okay. I want you to pretend that what we're about to do for the next 5 minutes is real, okay? You may not think that it's real in your world. You may look around and not agree with the idea that we're about to explore. You may think about the way that your worldview is framed, and you may think contrary to what we're about to say. And I'm here to tell you, you do not have to agree with what we're about to do. But for the sake of argument and for me to prove my point and connect this movie to the film, we're going to do this together. Draw that triangle. And I know some of you already have an answer. Just draw it somewhere or out the bottom or just somewhere for number 2. Should we put the camera on the screen? I think I'm sharing it. No, that's great. Thank you. I appreciate it. Now, for the sake of argument, this is not necessarily what I believe or what you need to believe, but for the sake of argument, we're going to go through an idea that there exists a natural social order. A natural social order. Just because of the way things are, we have a social order. Social is people, order is what order they go in. And what we're really talking about is a social hierarchy. So there are going to be people at the top and people at the bottom. And I'm going to give you the first word for the people at the top. And we're going to characterize the people at the top. The people at the top of the social hierarchy are, let me give you a word, beautiful. The reason I say this is because all the study shows that if you're attracted by whatever measure, you get treated better at the DMV, you get treated better when you go into the grocery store, you get treated better at the post office. People are nicer to you if you're attractive. Akshin, who else goes up here? Beautiful people are at the top, who else? Extroverted people, yeah, I agree. Especially in America, we very much prize extroversion as a trait. I agree. Kyle, what else? Who else goes up there? Wealthy people with the money. Who else goes up there? Vivi, you spell it wrong. Very easy. What? Who else goes up there? Famous people. I'm gonna put popular. Luke, what'd you say?
Yeah, Kyle goes up there.
Who? Kyle?
Smart.
Yeah, Kyle.
Intelligent.
Kyle.
All right, Paul. So in our culture, we have a social hierarchy. And who goes at the top? Beautiful people, wealthy people, famous, popular people, Kyle, yes, people named Kyle, smart people. And then the highest paid group of professionals in America are probably who, Sophia? Well, this is Sophia. Highest paid group of people. But paid, not making the money, but paid. Football players.
And be athletes.
Athletes, athletic people. You get to be at the top. So by contrast, who goes at the bottom? Ugly people. Kevin, introverted people. Poor people. Obnoxious people.
Unpopular loners.
Stupid people. Clumsy people.
Oh.
So, again, you read any of that? Ugly, introverted, poor, obnoxious, stupid, clumsy. Again, thought experiment. Just go with me. Thought experiment. The question says, don't give this away. Let people think.
Yeah, okay, I'm gonna do that.
Okay. What is the social network really about at the bottom of everything if there does exist a natural social order? I want you to look at that, whether it's real or not. I want you to look at that. You think about two questions that both have the same answer. They're just framed in a different way. First question is, what did, according to the film, what did Mark Zuckerberg want to do to that? And if you're having trouble answering that question, I'll give you the same question in a different way. What did Mark Zuckerberg's creation do to that? Answer that question with the people around you right now. Tell somebody. No, win it, honestly. You gotta find it.
Very silly.
I don't know. I'm sorry, man.
You know,
This is my line. I've already, this is smart money.
All right, 10 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Aaron, what'd you come up with? Jack, what do you want to say?
So, up here, you have a good egg. You crack the egg, it's a good egg. There's no shells in it. Down here,
In our thought experiment.
you have a bad egg, shells all over the place. It's hard to eat because like that's not extra fiber, it's just disgusting. he scrambled the eggs so that it's all just scrambled eggs. It's completely edible and everyone can have an egg.
And what Jack, what Jack is saying is to what it, someone said it, starts with an L. Level it out, right? He either wants to do the following: disrupt it, destroy it, level it out, flip it over, change it. Doesn't want it to look like this anymore. And either he intended for the project, the social network, the Facebook to do this, or he was just working on something and that's kind of what happened. Because on the internet, you can be anybody. You can be anybody you want to be on the internet. Internet and social media changed interaction forever because you can use filters or you can just straight up lie. Is that really the end of the last? And so he was able to change this natural social order. One thing. Frankenstein changes an order as well. There are things the way they are in life, and Frankenstein changes it. What are the outcomes of him changing that order? Thank you very much for a great day. I really appreciate you. It was awesome to see all of you. Say bye to our virtual friends.